Whatever you're doing correctly. You can't do any of this the wrong way. You can do no wrong. When I say this, I don't mean seeking. I mean everything. It can't be done incorrectly. It just can't. Everything is perfect as it is. And I don't mean this in any sort of, oh honey, you're perfect the way you are, supportive mom type of way. It is as it is, not for some bigger reason that needs to be vetted or reconciled, but just because it is. So many messages and questions about, rightfully so, about I sat and I felt this amazing space and then it went away. And as if the going away was somehow not doing it, was somehow messed up. Or, as if you're walking along this fine line and then all of a sudden you fall off that line. The fading away from the feeling of space, of being, of spaciousness, or whatever those words are to describe it, is it as well. So it's not that being in that space is right and the other thing is wrong. It just all is that happening. And that's why there are some great books that talk about this oscillation. And the oscillation is a great pointer, but it also because of words and everything else, have this feeling of like on and off. And it's not. It's just all on in this movement, back and forth. There is a tendency to move towards quiet. And that doesn't mean necessarily lack of noise, but it means that sometimes these talks are a little bit more difficult to produce because it just shows up that quiet and peace and observing are, I don't even want to say preferred, but interesting in that regard. And yet, action and movement happens in the play of life. The character of Noel walks around in the world and does stuff, and there are expectations of performance or showing up on time or making sure that little people get dressed. That's part of the movement. There's a phrase that I absolutely love called Wu-Wei. It's effortless action. It's perfect. Because the mind is like, effortless action. You mean action that, let it ping around however you want. But, some people might call it flow. And then they'll say, well, I love being in the flow state. I'm a painter and I was in this flow state and then the doorbell rang but you answering the door is flow also, is Wu-Wei. It is this movement. And any thoughts arising that are hinting or picking and poking at otherwise, in a statement of well, this thing was happening and then now it's not, those are just thoughts arising, and those are allowed also. So effortless action includes the feeling that this particular action requires effort. Man, it always seems to be like this when we turn this thing on and start talking. But it's true. It's absolutely true. You can't do any of this the wrong way. And that, excuse my language, but that includes all of your fuck-ups in life. The things that you think you have done wrong that couldn't have been any other way, or they would have been that other way. So think about them if you want, suffer if you want, and trying to go back and figure out what could have been done differently or another way. There's no suggestion that you shouldn't think about anything. And that's, in many ways, that is this explanation or this pointer of just settling into being. And I can say, relax, relax, nothing is in control. You're not the doer. Stuff's just happening. And the relax part is a command to, I guess, chill or, not feel so tense about things. But it's an incorrect command, because sometimes there is tension, and that's allowed too. It's all allowed. It's all accepted. It can't be any other way. And I'm going to say except the thoughts arising that are stating otherwise. A while ago, I posted a thing that said, you can do no wrong. You can do no wrong. And man, for as much as the mind creates this resistance and beats people up, there was some resistance to the statement. Now, consciousness is throwing this energetic contraction of consciousness, is throwing that energetic contraction of consciousness a lifeboat, and you're saying, no, I'd rather stick with these thoughts beating myself up that I need to be better and I need to do better, and I did all these things wrong in the past, and if I don't prepare, then I'm going to do things wrong in the future. That's okay too. That's perfectly fine. I guess that's the point, is that you can do no wrong, and that includes your disagreement with the statement. You can do no wrong. I talk about thoughts and this sort of spiral. I'm not stating this for anything specifically, but there's an appearance here that they just get a little more quiet. And there is a feeling that they'll never truly go away. I was telling someone earlier, today I went surfing and I was sitting in the ocean, and for a second I just felt this amazing peace, and then the mind is like, here it is, here it is, here it is, and there's this welling up. But the mind was the thing that was, here it is, here it is, here it is, and building this thing up. And then a friend called my name, and I turned and we had a conversation. The mind was the only thing that really wanted to make a big deal out of that blissful arising. The mind was the only thing that wanted to make a big deal about it continuing. Here it is, here it is. Well, here what is? I mean, it's a true statement. Here it is, because this is always it. But it wanted to add its own layer, put its stamp on the apparent experience, the observing of this happening. There's no reason for it to sustain. There's no reason or interest to make it reappear again. It does because it does, and it goes away because it goes away. Just like all apparent events, apparent experiences. And so I was talking about the mind, sort of this quiet spiral down, and in the apparent experience of being, it moves towards quiet as well. I think I've even mentioned the possibility of doing one of these videos where there's no talking at all, and that being not the best version of the message, but being pretty accurate as to what it is. however this is going. I get this logically. I've read all the books. I've heard the talks. I've been to the satsangs. And yet I can't. There's something else. Be okay with that. Or don't. You don't have to. I say, I can't even tell you that you need to be okay with it, because you don't. You can struggle through that thought and feel that another video, another talk, another satsang, another book will help. And maybe it does bring more sense of peace. Maybe sitting quietly, focusing on breath, brings more sense of peace. This quiet space of being. And I don't even know if I should use the phrase anymore, because it implies there's this container on it, this space, like there's a bowl, there's a bowl of being, scoop it up, have a look, get in there. But maybe that's not what comes up, but this space of being, sitting quietly. If you're in the place and there's a feeling of stuckness, or I can't figure this out, stay there, rest there, breathe into that space. If there's a consistent revealing or openings, awakenings, some say they like doing awareness games or awareness exercises, and it's felt. I can see that sense of space. I can feel the oneness, and then it goes away. Sit there, breathe into that. It's all okay. It's all this. Can't do any of it incorrectly. There's no way. How many things in this patterning, in this programming, ever since the character was little, there's just been correction after correction. And it's not all, not always negative. Sometimes the correction is a reiteration of the goodness of all of it. Hey, good job. The power just shut out. I don't know if that blinked on anything, but so that's built upon. And this feeling that there's a correction that needs to be done, that they can do something right or wrong. And a feeling that, the things that I did yesterday, today I'm actually going to do better. I'm going to do a better job. I'm going to be better. Welcome to pursue betterness. But there's no real such thing. There's no such thing as self-improvement. Because it's the self, the big S self, is already perfect. It can't be more perfect. It can't be more whole. And no matter what the self-improvement, small s, self-improvement track, no matter what levels it takes you to, until the big S self is realized and seen for what it is, there will always be something missing. And yet, you're already whole. So the mind that says, I need to improve the self, I need to make this better, I need to get better at this, I need to learn more, take in more information, is it as well. I've said before, the mind's not the enemy, but it's not to be trusted. So let it run. Let it do whatever it's going to do. And know that whatever it does, and whatever the body does, whatever thoughts arise, feelings arise, they are perfect. They're whole. They're exactly as they should be. Sit with that. Breathe into that. Can't do this wrong.